you stop it now. You're gonna get hurt. Go watch some TV or something.
Can I play on Dad's computer? Please.
All right, come on. Let's go set it up then. Which game do you want on? Okay, now if I set it up, are you gonna promise to be quiet while I'm making dinner?
Promise.
So here I was, in the middle of nowhere. I didn't know who I was or what I was doing there. Well, the name of the bar certainly didn't stir any fond memories I may have had. But then I discovered some kind of appointment. Maybe the clue I needed to get me out of this mess. Of course, it's one thing to have an address. It's another to be able to find it when you've no idea where you are.
Oi!
Felt like half the night that I'd been trudging the streets, looking for the right one. But eventually I found it. I was feeling pretty crap by now. My head was thumping and I felt like throwing up. My legs were two dead weights. I didn't like the situation one bit. The house looked familiar, but I was getting a serious feeling of deja vu. But I tell you, it wasn't a good feeling.
How may I help you?
It's dead. There's been a murder.
What's the address where the crime was committed and what's your name, please, sir?
18 Clayton Drive.
And are you there now, sir?
Yeah.
And your name, please, sir?
My name.
I was completely stunned. But the worst of it was I didn't feel the pain of losing them, like I should have. It was as if I didn't really care, because I couldn't remember them anyway. All I knew was that the cops were on their way around, and I would be number one on their most wanted list. I had to find out who I was, and get out. If only I knew my name, then that would be a start. Excuse me, you wouldn't happen to have seen this man in here tonight, would you? I could tell by his reaction that he hadn't expected to see me here this evening, and even though it looked like I wasn't welcome, I felt I might be able to find out who I was.
No, not tonight.
You do recognise him, though?
I've seen his face before, but not quite sure where.
How'd you explain this, then?
Tom Harper, successful business partner of Armstrong Limited, extreme hard worker, respected by friend and foe. Yet the same Tom Harper sits here today, accused of the brutal murders of his family. You must be under a lot of pressure lately, with your company and financial trouble, and that can push a man to the limit.
I didn't do it.
Yeah, like fuck you didn't. Explain this then.
I cut it on a beer glass.
Tom Harper checks into the Hilton International at 4 p.m. on the 1st of March to negotiate some business deals nearly 800 kilometres away from his home. On the 2nd of March, at around 8 p.m, someone breaks into his home and slaughters his wife and child in cold blood. Whoever it was wasn't there for the hi-fi. They planned to do what they did. However, at the time, you were at the Hilton in front of several eyewitnesses.
Well, there you are. Why would I possibly kill them? I love them, for Christ's sake. Why don't you get out there and find the real killer and stop making this more difficult than it already is?
Well, you see, I also have several eyewitnesses who identify you outside your house at around the same time that night. It even seems that one of them tried to have a conversation with you, but you were in too much of a hurry to talk.
That's impossible.
That's right, Harper. That's exactly what I thought. Because you're having dinner at 9 o'clock with your business colleagues, it makes it almost impossible for you to have carried out the killings.
So why the hell are you questioning me then?
A private jet could have been chartered by somebody of considerable wealth. The Hilton is conveniently situated next to the airport. If the murders happened at 8 o'clock, the jet could have left at 8:30, arrived back an hour later at 8:30 local time. You could have easily made it back for a dinner appointment at 9 o'clock, even with a few minutes spare to freshen up.
Oh, come on, that's ridiculous. Even if your fantastical theory were correct. Do you really think I'd go to such lengths? You said yourself, my company's in financial difficulty. How could I possibly afford to pay for such a scheme? What do I have to gain? I've lost everything.
Mr. Harper, a killer always goes to extraordinary lengths to cover his trail. Motive, I'll find it. I'm sure when we go through your company files, something will come up. Those flight logs will arrive here shortly, and you'll be going down for the rest of your days for this.
I can't believe you're so fucking stupid, pulling that stunt last night.
How was I supposed to know?
You weren't supposed to know. You're supposed to be dead. I thought my boys had dealt with you.
Things were starting
Just
to
what
look
were you
pretty
thinking
bad
of,
by now.
coming into a bar
This
where
guy
you
was
and
supposed to be
partner
my
were?
friend.
I was this close to being
Of
caught.
course, I didn't know what he was talking
Fucking
about.
idiot.
I was just trying to buy some time by keeping him talking.
But that's all history anyway.
What about the other guy?
Who? Tom, my partner.
Yeah. Tom, what happened to him?
Well, that's the beauty of it all. After your intrusive entry last night, he could have seen you and made the situation slightly awkward. But he didn't. And after we dealt with you, in came the police to arrest him for murdering his family. Tom Harper is about to go down for the rest of his life, and out of my way, thanks to you. Yeah, very convincing the way you dealt with his wife and kid like that. And I thought you were just setting him up for fraud.
I couldn't believe it. If that Tom guy was the father, who the fuck was I?
Very brutal. The work, I would say, of a psychopath. I chose you because of your similar looks and your knowledge of computers, not because you're a killer. But you got the job done, and that's what counts.
So why do you want to kill me now?
Look on the bright side. At least you know when you're gonna die. Have you ever thought about your own demise? But hey, it's nothing personal. I mean, I'm quite happy to give you the money like we agreed and for us both to go our separate ways and live happily ever after. But I can't have an exact double of my partner running around while he's locked up for first-degree murder. Someone someday may get suspicious and open up the can of worms that leads to me. Still, by the time they find you, all they'll have to go on are your teeth.
I was devastated. I couldn't believe I'd done such a terrible thing. Instead of the father, I was just some small-time crook that took on a job to frame a man. Now it had all backfired.
Look, I've told you 100 fucking times I didn't do it! Now I am not answering any more questions until my lawyer arrives.
But if you didn't do it, who did, Mr. Harper? Who would want to kill your family?
Can I have a cigarette? It's not looking good for me, is it? You're going to keep pushing to prove that I did it. Whether it's the truth or not. Simply because you've nothing else to go on.
I'm not going to prove something that didn't happen. But when that flight log gets here, your talking time will be over. So if you have something else to say, speak up now.
Well, I didn't want to say anything before, because I really don't have any proof. But I think this is a setup
By who?
by my business partner, Simon,
Why would he do a thing like that?
to get me out of the way. We had a possible takeover bid coming up shortly, and the two of us stood to make quite a lot of money.
How much?
About $10 million each. The kind of money some people would kill for, don't you think?
Go on.
Simon was ecstatic about the proposal, as you can imagine. But I wasn't so sure. We built that company since we were kids. It was my life. I didn't know what I would do without it.
$10 million. It's a lot of money to turn down. Especially with your company in such an awkward situation anyway.
Right. That's exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't need the money. I had enough already. I wasn't about to abandon ship simply because things got difficult. I thought we could make it through the rough times. Anyway, Simon was horrified that I wasn't prepared to sell my half. As the Japanese wanted total control. Me saying no meant the deal was off. He kept trying to persuade me for months. You know, start a new business, new adventure. I knew it was bullshit.
Bullshit. What do you mean?
I had a tip-off that Simon was up to something, so I started to listen in on some of his telephone calls.
Listen, you gotta come up with something now. I've only got a few more days left to get this deal through, And if he's not out of the way by then, it's all off and you can forget the money. Shit, I know it's hard, but that's why I chose you and why I'm paying you far too much money. Okay, that's better. Listen, I think tomorrow's going to be the best day to do this, so do whatever it is you have to do. But I need him out of the way now. For Christ's sake, I can't give you the address over the telephone, you idiot. Where are you now? Okay, I can see you. Listen, I'll write it down on a piece of card and leave it on the tabletop of the bar opposite. I'll be there in 5 minutes, but whatever you do when I walk in, don't raise an eyelid to show that you recognise me. Okay? Okay, I'll see you there.
Tom, I'm just popping out for a paper and a quick beer. Do you want anything? Okay.
I knew he was planning something, but I wasn't sure what. He was too clever to say too much over the telephone. I know he desperately needed the money to pay off his huge gambling debts. Probably wanted the rest to snort up his nose. When he realized I wasn't going to budge, I think he got desperate. I suspect he'd been keeping up negotiations with the Japanese all along. Now it was crunch time, and they wanted to buy. He couldn't just kill me, though. Or the finger would have pointed at him when he inherited my stock. He had to get me out of the way by framing me for something. You watch. If I get locked up for this, he'll sell up straight away. And we can both read about it in the newspapers.
Sir, I'm sorry to interrupt.
What do you think you're doing interrogating my client without my permission? You have no right to do that.
Look, your client is suspected of first-degree murder, and that means...
Absolutely nothing. He has rights like anybody else.
Sir, the printout you're expecting has arrived.
Print out.
The one that's going to prove your client is guilty of murder and give me the right to hold him as long as I want to.
Sir?
This isn't right.
So I suppose that means my client is innocent after all, doesn't it, Inspector?
Sir?
Yes.
I think you better come and take a look outside.
What the hell is it now? What is it?
I think he's talking about me.
Look, he's not going to the infirmary until I get some straight answers. Your name would be a good start.
I told you already, I can't remember.
He has a lot of bruising to the temple and there's a large bump on the back of his head. That's probably the reason for his memory loss.
So how long before his memory returns?
Can't give you an exact answer. It could be a day, a week, a month. Really all depends on if there's anything that'll trigger his memory back into action.
That's great. He knows fuck all because he's had a bang on the head. It's all a bit too convenient.
Anyway, we have to have that leg operated on before it goes septic.
I was confused, and aching from head to toe. I'd got myself into some deep water, but now the inspector was giving me a hard time, because he didn't believe I'd lost my memory. I knew I had to give him something, before it was too late. Look, all I know is I woke up yesterday in the middle of nowhere feeling like shit. I didn't have any ID. Just this card with a time and address on it. So that's where I went.
And what address was that?
I still have it, I think.
You went there? When?
Look, I didn't know who I was. It seemed like the only clue. I walked in and they were lying there. I called the police straight away, but they kept asking me what my name was and I didn't know. That's when I saw the family photo. I thought I was the father. I didn't know which way to turn.
Where did you go next?
Rooted around the drawers to find some ID. And I found these photographs. I noticed the name on this bar was the same as on that business card. So I thought it must be my local. Anyway, when I got there, I found my so-called friend chatting away to this guy who was the spitting image of me. I tried to leave and someone smacked me in the face. Knocked me out cold. The next thing I knew, I woke up in a warehouse tied to a chair, with this man standing over me.
This man? He's Simon Travis, business partner of your lookalike Tom Harper.
Yeah. That's when I found out who he was. And my part in his plans.
What plans?
Plans to get rid of his business partner.
What part did you have in all this?
He told me I was hired because of my similar looks, so that I could get close to this Harper guy and have access to certain areas. He was supposed to pay me when the job was done, but he never intended to. I looked too much like Harper, so he wanted to get rid of me.
And did you complete your project?
I don't know.
I think you did.
But I can't be sure. I don't know that I actually...
Killed them for money.
No thanks, I don't smoke.
Sure you do. And a lot. According to forensic tests on the filter.
What filter?
The one we know the killer dropped.
But I don't smoke. I know I don't. Travis offered me a cigarette and I coughed my guts up.
Sir, this letter's just arrived. It's addressed to the Chief Inspector. I think you better take a look. There's a tape inside also.
I'll read it out, would you? Don't worry about him.
Tonight, I witnessed the brutal murder of a woman and her son in their own home. I can tell you that the men behind the killings are Simon Travis and his colleagues at Armcorps Limited. They have been carrying out various illegal activities and are killers. In fact, the receipt of this letter is a good indication that I too am a victim at the hands of these men. I'm enclosing a tape for you to examine, and I hope that with this information you can bring these killers to trial. Forgive me for remaining anonymous, but I prefer it this way.
Get this tape analysed now. We need to know what the voice says at the end. Do you know anything about this?
I sent that tape.
You taped the killings?
Yeah. But I know I didn't kill them. It was all coming back to me. The smell of aftershave on the letter had started it all. It was so distinctive, and I did remember knocking over a bottle onto the letter. Travis had got some keys cut and told me to just walk right in through the front door. Nobody would suspect anything, because to them I was just Tom Harper. I remember still feeling nervous though, and wondering how I would react if someone did see me. I was a computer hack, not 007. Travis didn't know how I was going to drop Harper in it. He figured the less he knew, the better. My plan was to make it look like he was playing dirty on the stock exchange, by fiddling the values of his stocks and accessing highly confidential trading information. Secondly, I had to fiddle his own files and make certain errors, ones that weren't at all obvious but when investigated would stick to him. All this, of course, had to be done on his home terminal, and then copied back onto his office terminal disks for extra realism. It was getting late. The Harpers would be home soon. I was starting to get worried. There was no time for me to get out of the house. We could only hide and hope for the best.
Why don't you turn the TV on while I start dinner? Will you stop it? You're gonna get hurt now. We'll watch TV or something.
Can I play on Dad's computer? Please.
Okay, come on, let's go set it up then. Okay, which game do you want on?
Doom!
Okay, now if I set it up, are you gonna promise to be quiet while I'm making dinner?
Promise, promise.
That's when I heard the commotion. There was nothing I could do. If I tried to help, then I'd be killed too. I could only look on helplessly.
Please. Daddy, let me go.
Travis had arranged to meet me in some wasteland north of the city to discuss what I had done and hopefully hand over my money. I was a bit apprehensive, but I had no choice. He had insisted on meeting me there so as to be sure he wasn't seen. I couldn't exactly say I didn't trust him, or he may have refused to pay altogether. My plan was to cover myself by sending a letter to the post office, who would then forward it to the police. I'd have until tomorrow morning to intercept it, or the post office would pass it on. If Travis had ulterior motives, then the cops would be knocking on his door a few days later. There was no time to rewrite the letter. We would just have to do as it was, stinking of aftershave. Where's Travis?
Couldn't make it. He's got business elsewhere.
That is a shame. Have you got my money?
Yeah. We've got your money. Did you get the job done?
Of course. Mr. Travis is going to be very pleased. I corrupted his files to show signs of account fiddling and hacked into some of his press.
We don't want to know about details. We just want to know if you got the job done.
I got the job done. He's going to be locked up for 20 years when they see what he's done. Now, can I have my money? Is it okay if I check it?
We've expected nothing less.
It's not a good idea to kill me, you know. As soon as you shoot me, information about this whole operation is going to the police. And Travis will be implicated in that. You don't think I'd come here without taking precautions, do you?
Fuck you.
So why didn't they finish you off? Stupid just to assume you were dead.
I don't know. I was unconscious in a ditch. Maybe they're scared off by somebody.
Where's Travis now?
He's dead. One of his own bullets ricocheted off a metal plate I was protecting myself with. You'll find him in his warehouse.
But we know Harper was miles away. He would have had to have flown here. But there's no record of any flight at the required time. In fact, there wasn't any flights to the correct destination.
Inspector, anyone with the know-how, with a PC and a modem, could erase details of any flight from any record.
Sir, that tape you wanted us to check.
Did you come up with anything?
Yes, it's the little boy's voice.
Could you make out what it said?
It says, "Please, Daddy, let me go."
Oh, that fucking bastard. Get him. Bring him here no matter where he is. You. Get up to the infirmary, get your legs seen to and some rest. But remember, you're not in the clear yet. I still need you as a witness. I can still get you for computer fraud, so don't get any ideas. If you work with us, the charges against you will be dropped. If not, you're a fucking idiot. Get out of here.
As my memory started to return, I remember taking out a contingency plan to cream some of their company profits into a separate account that only I knew about. I knew that I'd easily get away with it, as I was fiddling the accounts anyway in order to flame Harper. All the better that one was dead and the other was in prison.
Now, you're quite sure you want to withdraw all your money and close the account, Mr. Duggan?
Absolutely. 100%. I have a business deal. I need the collateral.
Well, we're always sorry to lose a prized customer such as yourself, but I suppose you know best what you have to do. There we go. $2 million at your disposal.
May I?
Certainly, but I'm sure you'll find it's all there. It's been counted and recounted several times.
I'm not saying I don't trust you, but I do like to check these things nonetheless.
Sure, go ahead.
Everything seems to be in order.
Good. Well, of course, if we can help any further, please don't hesitate to give me a call.
Thank you very much.
Bye now.
Things were certainly starting to look better for me. I was $2 million richer, and all charges against me had now been dropped. Travis was dead, and Harper was sentenced to 2 life terms. It turned out that he had chartered a private jet after all, and 2 of the ground crew came forward to testify against him, even though neither the pilot or his jet were ever located. Forensics managed to match his blood group with that found on a kitchen knife, and the cigarettes found outside the house were discovered to have the distinctive scorch marks of those made up by a Zippo lighter. Harper happened to be the only suspect in possession of a Zippo, but he still went down protesting his innocence, swearing blind that he'd been set up. The doctor that took care of my leg also sorted out a few other problems while I was having the treatment. So our plan now was to head south and start a new life. Of course, I hadn't told her exactly what was in the briefcase.